Hey guys, welcome back to another session with Real Estate Steals, Deals, and Opportunities. And today I'm your hostess with a few tips on exposing the truth behind the lies of real estate investing. This is my latest and greatest book. And, from traveling and speaking to real estate investors all over the country, I've heard the same questions over and over and over throughout the years, and I decided to take those myths that most people believe that are really their stumbling block and put them into 10 easy-to-read chapters that can help you avoid those same stumbling blocks in your real estate investing career. So let's get started today. Hopefully we can just touch on some points from the first 3 chapters. So today we'll discover the truth behind the lies of 3 common myths blocking most new and even seasoned real estate investors. And those 3 questions are, do I need a real estate license, Sharon, to be successful? Can I really get rich quickly? And do I really need mentors or gurus or coaches? I mean, can I just go out and do this? Everybody's doing it, and there's all kinds of things online. So these are really great questions. And based on all my years of investing and experience and going through these questions myself when I was new, I have given you a lot of in-depth reasons why not you can do what the answers to these questions are. So today we'll touch on some of those points, and for those of you that want more meat and are more interested because this is something you're really looking at seriously doing, then you have the opportunity to take one of these books home yourself, okay? So let's start out with, do you need a real estate license to be successful? Well, first of all, I want to talk to you about the legal reason why people have a real estate license and why you don't need one in order to invest in real estate yourself, okay? I am a licensed broker. When I started investing 25 years ago, I thought you needed a real estate license to do it. And I thought if you had it, you'd be successful. Well, it turns out the only license you need is your driver's license. So most of us are qualified. However, I do have my own opinion on having the license or not, which I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. But I do want you to understand these legal reasons for having the license, okay? So first of all, as a real estate investor, I am buying a piece of property myself, and then I am selling it myself. No matter what the strategy, even if it's wholesaling, right, where I'm not closing on it, I'm actually going to assign my contract, but I am actually getting a legal interest in that piece of real estate. And that is what legally allows me to sell that property, market that property before I actually own it, and do what I want to do with that property. I have just given myself a legal interest in the property as soon as I have a fully executed agreement for sale, okay? And so I do not need a real estate license to bring a buyer to the table and sell that buyer my interest in the contract. I mean, really, you're marketing the house for sale, but he is buying legally my interest in the contract, and he's paying me what's called an assignment fee. It's not called a commission. Even though I have a real estate license, the money is not going to my broker. I am not doing this as a real estate licensed person. I am doing it as a person who's taken a legal interest in that real estate by way of an executed contract. Therefore, I do not need a real estate license to do this, okay? Now, the reason that people get the real estate license is because they would like to earn a commission, whether it's the seller paying it to them or the buyer paying it to them, but they have no legal interest in the ownership of that real estate asset. They are merely introducing a buyer and a seller, and their contract is either the listing agreement or the buyer's agent agreement, and that is what entitles them to a payment. So if they fulfill their obligations of listing that property and bringing a buyer to the seller is obligated to pay them a commission. And if the buyer signs an agreement with them and they bring the buyer and find the buyer a property that the buyer wants, then the buyer is obligated to pay that commission to the real estate agent. So that agent who has their license hung with a broker is paid by the broker, and the commission goes to the broker. So that is someone who's introducing parties together for the sake of them, coming together as buyer and seller and purchasing that property. So the agreements that would bind the payment to that real estate agent are, like I said, either the listing agreement or the buyer's representation agreement. But in no way is the realtor or real estate agent getting a legal interest in that property, allowing them to market and sell the property as if they were the owner. Okay, so that is the main difference, and I kind of spit that out really quickly. But in a nutshell, that's why you do not need a license to be a successful real estate investor. Now, having had my license for 25 years, I can tell you that in my opinion, I find that I am more successful. What do I mean about more successful? successful, well, to most of you, it means you're making more money. So I do strongly encourage my students that come into my programs to get their real estate license. Why? Because the pros are listed before you here. There's credibility with fellow agents. So aren't we as real estate investors networking all the time with agents saying, hey, bring us your deals and you keep all the commission and I really want to buy from you. And so we're networking a lot amongst other real estate agents that give you more credibility if you also have your license, and they actually trust you more that you're going to forego the commission and give it to them when you do have the license. So that is a pro. The other pro reason that is really vital to me is that you do have access to the MLS with a multiple listing service. I believe, in my experience, in using all kinds of real estate software that's out there and created for the real estate investors, especially investors that don't have real estate licenses to gain access to MLS, that the MLS program and software is by far the best real estate software for any real estate professional, including investors. It is, timely information. The ability it has to do the things that it does, you just don't even know until you start learning more and taking those classes. So access to the MLS can only be gotten if you are a realtor or a real estate licensed person. And then board training. So every area where you become a real estate agent, there's a board, and they offer a lot of training, a lot of classes, a ton of networking opportunities. And there's just a major atmosphere that encourages success for you. And when you are not a real estate agent and you're more of a real estate investor, you really do stand out in the crowd versus hundreds of real estate agents and you're just another one. Well, you're someone who's coming in and you're right in their own midst and you can buy their listings from them. So you're really an asset for them to know. So I find all of these to be a pro, okay, to having the license. Now, the con would be, okay, yes, there's a cost to it, but the cost to having that license is minimal compared to how much more money you can make having the license, okay? The other con is you must remember to disclose in all of your agreements and a lot of your forms that you hold a real estate license in the state that you hold it, because once you have the license, you're considered an expert. So you must disclose. And there are also a lot of rules that you do need to follow, but I don't find those rules constricting. I find them that it just helps you to maintain an even more professional way of doing business. So for a lot of investors, they get their license to save commission when they go to sell their own property. Fine. They get their license to receive commission when they're bidding and buying on properties. Fine. The other reason that I encourage my newer investors to get their real estate license is because they can legally, with their real estate license, market the properties that I have under contract to flip or sell. They can market any of my properties. I'm giving them permission, but they cannot legally do it because they don't have an interest in my property, right? They can only legally market and make money on my properties or any other person's properties with that real estate license because they're not in a position where they have the property under control, right? They're not yoked to that property legally in order to make them not need the license. So by having the license, they are able to take my properties, find their own investors, and put us together, and then I can legally pay them what would be a commission on an investment type deal. And that is the only legal way to make them money. But the beauty of that is a lot of new investors are waiting to get their own inventory tied up. And it's kind of hard to break into a very competitive market when everybody's trying to go after the same deal. And so by being able to not only pursue their own leads, but bring together buyers and sellers of leads they might have, leads they might know of, leads that other people might have tied up, then they're going to start making money sooner than if they're just relying on all their own efforts. Okay, so that is my big pro for helping them do that, because it's a lot of work, and if there's not any reward or profit or fruit in what you're doing for a while, you can kind of lose heart and lose the momentum, and no matter how much I rah-rah them on, somebody's got to pay the bills. And so it's one way to make that happen. All right, so I hope that helps kind of clarify why I believe you don't need the real estate license to be successful, but you should have it. And there's a lot more meat in chapter 1 of my book if you care to learn more about that. But this is the top 10 question I am ever asked when I travel and speak, okay, across the country. So now we're going to move on to chapter number 2. So can you really get rich quickly in real estate? You know, a lot of people have that question because they want to quit their job, they want to live this amazing lifestyle, and they want to do it yesterday. So is it possible, or is it just a scam? And so the truth is that with the right strategies, anyone can get rich slowly in real estate, whether they have a ton of capital or none. I mean, the absolute truth is that any entrepreneur can get rich in anything with the right strategies and the right plan, right? And so that's really what's missing. So all the zeal is there, but no knowledge. And so that kind of just helps you end up losing everything you have. So as long as you have the right strategy, guys, then you can go through this. And, you know, I have students that come to me with a lot of capital, and I say, whoa, let's be careful, because if you rely on that capital to get rich, but you don't really know anything, you're going to lose it. So let's pretend you don't have the capital, and let's go learn some strategies and get smart first. And then we can apply the capital to deals that need the capital. And then people who have no capital, I think that's wonderful. They come to me, well, they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So it's easier, you know, for them to go out and apply these strategies because they have no choice. So there are strategies that require capital, and there are strategies that require no capital. And so it's just now learning what they are and what's going to suit you today. And that's why I do a lot of one-on-one. So wholesaling is a strategy that requires very little, next to no capital. And it is a strategy that, you know, allows you to learn how to market and get deals, negotiate the deals, get them under contract, and then actually assign that contract for a profit called an assignment fee. It's a very popular strategy, especially common in new investors learning the business, because so many want to get started in the business and they do have just little capital to get started. So very popular. It's my favorite thing to teach. And then from there, I just think that's the best foundation. And then from there, my students can go off into rehabbing, owning rentals, etc. So now if you do have capital, then I'm going to encourage you to start owning and keeping rentals sooner than later, because if all of your eggs are in the real estate basket, then we need to diversify amongst that basket to every kind of real estate there is. Because as market cycles change, and I actually, you know, I'm going to cover market cycles in the next few sessions, but when market cycles change, guys, and you can't sell a property because nobody's buying, maybe the market tanked, what's going to maintain you if everything you do is real estate? The only thing that can is rental property. And so I encourage you to start getting those rentals sooner than later. You know, everybody thinks, well, I'll do that once I have money, you know, about everything, even having babies, you know, I'll do that once there's money. And if you push those things off, you're going to regret it. You've got to make the sacrifices today while you can afford to make the sacrifices today. You know, we're here, we have our youth, we have our energy, we have whatever we have, right? But we need to make use of what we have today. And so sometimes, you know, if you can only acquire one rental property a year, that's wonderful. Start right now and get that one rental property this year while you can do it. Okay, so lease options. Now that's a great way to control a property and make money on it without owning it. And it's also a great way for you to sell a property that maybe the profit got dwindled, and, you know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and now, you know, the retail strategy is just going to bring you a loss. And so we say, let's switch strategies. Let's do a lease option, and we'll get somebody in there now who will rent from me now and buy later. So lease options are great ways for you to work out strategies to control property and make money on them. Rehabbing, of course, that's going to require capital. But a lot of people, you know, when you start talking to other people about what you're doing, they'll say, hey, I don't have the time, but I have the money. If you learn how to do it, I'll put up the money and we'll split it 50-50. So, you know, when you step out and you start doing, you just meet these kinds of people, and you'll have the opportunity presented to you because you're actually doing something. You know, you'll always hear me say, you know, people say, well, how'd you find that deal? That's like a needle in the haystack. And my comment is always, well, when you play in the hay, you find the needles. But if you're just sitting back looking, you're watching everybody else find those needles, and it's not going to happen to you. So when you start playing in the hay, well, then that's when you start finding the needles, and they look like opportunities. And so note sales, you know, that's another part of real estate. There's mortgages and notes being bought and sold all the time. And you don't have to be this huge bank to do it. You can buy and sell private mortgages and make money on that as well. And that's another avenue you can do without any capital. And then owner financing deals. Now, this is just 6 that I'm listing. There's a lot of strategies that you can apply. It's just a matter of going out and finding out what are they and what will work for me, rather than sitting back and go, I can never do that. I don't have any money. And so, if you're one of those negative people that everything's a roadblock, well, you're never going to get rich quick or slow. Okay. So owner financing is something that is a great way, to acquire property yourself, for not only yourself to live in, but rentals, flips, wholesales, whatever it is. If you could take advantage of an owner financing opportunity, even if it's not in your own backyard, well, that could be an avenue for you to pick up on your next property, buy your next rental, make some money, buy something on owner financing, sell it on owner financing, and wrap the first mortgage. And, that's, again, another strategy. There's so many strategies even within strategies. So there are no roadblocks. It's just a matter of you having the desire and the willingness to learn and apply what you're learning and go out there and do it. And so that's chapter 2. And again, that's just like a piece of chapter 2. There's so much to this stuff. And it's really about you changing your mindset of where you're at to where you want to be, and understanding that we might not always think that we know the truth, but whatever our truth is, that's the way we're making our decisions and building and continuing our lives. It's based on what we think the truth is. So if our truths are actually lies that I can expose to you in 10 simple chapters, I could set you free, right? Anything can set you free when you know the truth, and you're going to go after it. And now you're going to be able to make money because what you thought was wrong, what you thought was a roadblock, was really never there to begin with. So the last chapter that we're going to talk about today that we have time for is chapter 3. Do you really need mentors and gurus and coaches and programs? Okay. So the answer is an emphatic yes. You absolutely do need education. Education is the key to you making more money and becoming more successful than anyone around you. Big corporations set aside 10% of their budget annually toward research and development. Why do they do this? Because it's proven that it works. So what's research and development? It's continuing education. It's researching a matter. It's finding out what are the new strategies. What is the latest trend? What will our buyers buy? What will our sellers give us? What can we do? And what's trending now? And how do we need to adjust? In other words, educate me. I'm going to spend 10% on education. And here's how I'm going to decide how much I want to make, okay? So they're investing 10%. Now, for these millions and these companies making millions and millions and millions, 10% is a heck of a lot of money. So they're investing in the research and development. They're sending their employees on, lessons and retreats and trainings, and that's part of that 10%. Why? Because it makes them more money. Okay, so how can you grow without duplicating successful businessmen? All of these wheels were made circle way before we got involved, right? So for us to come to the table with a wheel that's not even round yet and think we're going to start from scratch and start over when all of these proven methods have gone before us and we have access to them on the internet even, that would be stupid. And so it's a simple calculation for us to learn as well. So back it all the way down. Forget the big corporation. Now let's look at us, me corporation, okay? If I want to earn $10,000 this year in real estate, that's all I want to earn because I've got my full-time job, but I just want to earn this extra 10. I would need to invest a minimum of $1,000 in myself. And I would need to go out and apply what I've learned to do with that 1,000 if it's going to help me make the 10. Now, when you don't stick to something and have a continuous investment, it's very hard to make it work. So this is like the minimum, maybe possible thing you could do to see a return on the investment. However, if you're thinking bigger than that and you're saying, you know what, I want to make $50,000 my first year or $100,000 my first year, then you would say at this very example here, if I want to earn $100,000 a year, I need to begin investing $10,000 a year in myself. That would be my training, my affiliations, my education, joining, Learn from Green and all the local clubs I can go on, and really learning from experienced people who are doing this for a living, right? Because when you learn from the successful people doing what you want to do, then you can duplicate it. And so $10,000 seems like a far cry from what you have to spend, but let's look at it this way. How much are you making in real estate right now? And it will be directly related to how much you are investing in your education. Okay, so if you can say nothing, a couple $100, because I'm too cheap to learn and invest in myself, but I expect to make $100,000, it's not going to happen. So the Get Rich Slowly But Surely plan includes you investing in your training and your education. It's a must. So if you can find someone who could actually guide you one-on-one, give you the education specifically for what you're looking for and whatever it is you want to learn about. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, it doesn't matter what it is. The point is, you might pay $50,000 for that education. It's still much, much, much cheaper than a college education that we're sending our kids to now, and then they come out of college and they don't even want to go do what they learned, right? And they don't even make the same money you're making, and all you spent was $50,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. It's all relative. So it's the way you think is the only thing that limits you. All right. So I hope that those 3 chapters, make sense, but it's really time to change your mindset because we are our own roadblock. So if you want to learn about the top 10 lies confusing real estate investors, especially, new and aspiring investors, then I encourage you to pick up Exposing the Truth Behind the Lies of Real Estate Investing. It is an easy read that will shed a ton of light on several important subjects that every investor must know in order to be successful. And I hope that, you even had an awareness in just the little bit I shared with you on these last 3 topics. So why start out in front of a roadblock when properly armed, you can walk right through it? So get your copy today for only $15. You can go to my website at 32srealty.com/books and pick yourself up one right now. All right. And if you want to reach out to us, we are at 32srealty.com. Sharon R. at 32srealty.com. I'm in South Florida, and we cater to real estate investors here. And if you enjoyed what you learned about having a real estate license and other important topics that we covered today, then we invite you to learn more about real estate investing and other amazing topics online via live interactive video conference classes at learnfromgreen.com, who has brought you this lesson today. When you increase your knowledge, you increase your income. Thanks for watching.